We are funded heavily by the government, but also we really need donations because government money is very limited. What the Advocacy Center does, they partner with very important people in the community, like cops and hospitals and therapists. If a child is being abused or neglected, they would come and schedule. I mean, normally a very quick appointment, like they get picked up and within 5 minutes they're getting rushed to the Advocacy Center. Once they're at the Advocacy Center, they are going to go through different exams depending on what kind of abuse it is, whether it's physical abuse, sexual abuse, neglect, whatever it is. We have people on staff that are going to take care of that child. They're going to audit them and see what kind of abuse is happening here. They'll work with law enforcement to make sure whoever is responsible is being held accountable. And then they stay in the program until they, like, quote unquote, graduate. So they're getting access to therapists who are going to help them work through the trauma. They're getting access to lawyers and law enforcement that are going to help move through their process. It's different than CASA.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of NEA Impact, where we talk to leaders in the area about how they are giving back to the community. I'm your host, Dagen Davis, and our guest today is Veronica Trimarchi, and she is the Marketing Communication Manager for Camfil. Veronica, thanks for joining us.
Yes, of course. Thanks for having me.
All right. So we're really going to get into a little bit more about Camfil first, so that we can kind of add some context about what you do. But we also know that you're involved with the community, so we do want to dive into that as well. But we'll start with Camfil. So for people who are not familiar with the company that is here located in Jonesboro, could you tell us a little bit more about the company?
Yeah, of course. So Camfil, we used to be named Far Company. We've been in Jonesboro for over 30 years now. Camfil is a Swedish company. They bought Far Company probably 25, 30 years ago. Camfil Far for a while. Now it's just Camfil. We're just under the Swedish branch. It's a global clean air company. We design and manufacture air filtration solutions. Those solutions could be for manufacturing industries, which is what we focus on in Jonesboro, but we also service HVAC. We service hospitals, any kind of application that needs clean air, which funny enough, we all need clean air. So we're in schools, we're in automotive, pharmaceutical, everywhere. The mission is simple, just to provide clean air for people, processes, and the environment. And like I said, we're in 35 countries globally, but we have a very prominent manufacturing facility here in Jonesboro.
Okay, great. And so are you guys it's just a manufacturing facility here? Where is the headquarters?
So we headquarter out of Stockholm, Sweden. I actually worked for headquarters for about 2 years, right before COVID hit. So I was living in Stockholm for 2 years,
Oh,
working
wow.
from the corporate level. Yeah, really fun time there. But the Jonesboro plant, although we're in Jonesboro, we service everywhere. So we have the main air pollution control, or APC, manufacturing plant, which is our manufacturing plant for heavy dust loads. So if you're going into a welding facility, automotive, pharmaceutical, anything with very dangerous dusts, those filters and mechanics and machines are coming out of this Jonesboro facility more than likely.
So that makes a lot of sense with all the manufacturing like that, in this
Yeah.
area.
Yeah.
Okay. Very cool, very cool. So, clean air, could you dive into that a little bit more for us? Is this an entire system, or is it just filters? What is the makeup of what you guys do?
Yeah. So this last year or so, we've had new management come in. We had a VP retire and brought in a new VP. So we're actually converting all of our business units into one Camfil business unit. In the past, we were sectioned out between HVAC machines and filters, manufacturing machines and filters. We also have another division called Power Systems, which works on gas turbines. We are changing our marketing plan to be one giant Camfil, which means coming out of all of the manufacturing facilities, we'll be able to service like a plethora of things, anything you can think of. So currently, the way Jonesboro is set up, we're looking at heavy dust. So if you were to study anything about dust, we talking particle sizes. Everyone may remember this back from COVID when we were talking about PM 2.5 or PM 1 or all of these different ways to measure a dust load. Anything under 2.5 is naked to the human eye. So we're trying to pick up dust that you can't see in the air. Of course, heavy loading machinery like welding or laser cutting or even pharmaceutical dust will have that big, thicker dust that you can see with your eyes. And our filters will pick that up instantly. But the best thing about Camfil filtration, whether you're looking at it from an HVAC or a comfort standpoint, or this manufacturing standpoint, is we're picking up that dust that you can't see that could be detrimental to your health.
Okay. And how detrimental to your health could it be if you're in front of this every single day, just working around it?
Oh, yeah, I mean, cancerous, you could get COPD, some dust, if they get into your eyes, could cause blindness. They could cause permanent skin defects. I mean, they were talking poisonous dust. If you think about just going and crushing up any kind of pharmaceutical pill or anything. All that was created by being compressed into that pill. If you were in a factory that's making these little tablets and capsules all day and you're breathing in fumes from medical grade powders that you probably aren't supposed to ingest, it could be terrible for your health. So our filters are able to pick all of that up and keep the workers safe. We also say we keep processes safe. So if you're thinking in terms of food manufacturing, so we have dust collectors. I don't know if we have one at the Nestle here, but I know we have one at some Nestle's out in the United States where you don't want your food to be contaminated. So there's dust flying off of different processes within the plant, and you want to keep each line of that food processing plant to be very sterile so that way we don't have cross contamination. Think about people that have gluten allergies or whatever it may be. And our filters are helping to keep all of those places nice and safe.
There you go. Now you touched on something that everyone watching can relate to with food, for
Yeah,
sure.
exactly.
Yep. So how large is the Camfil presence here in Jonesboro?
I'd say we have a pretty dense hold over the southern states. So there is competition around. Camfil is one of the biggest manufacturers in the world for this type of manufacturing. So HVAC, which we call comfort, or manufacturing, which sometimes we refer to as air pollution control. So we
Okay.
are on the top end of like pricing and quality, but that comes with the territory where you're going to have better filtration. So we have a pretty strong hold on the market here, just within the US, but also within Europe and with the Asia market. So we're all over the place.
Okay. So your role as the marketing communications manager, what do you do exactly on, let's just say, a day to day basis for
Sure.
pushing these filtration systems?
Yeah, so I started working for Camfil in 2013, right out of college, and I actually started just as a graphic designer. That's what I went to school for first. Once I started working for Camfil, I actually went back and got my master's. I was at that weird little point at a state where print was being faded out and digital was coming in, and I pretty much was the last graduate to have a full print diploma in the bachelor's program. So I knew I
Wow.
needed to go straight into master's to start that digital process because they were changing the entire program. So while I was working in strategic communications at A State, I was implementing what I was learning back over at our headquarters here in Jonesboro because we weren't on social media or anything. So I would go to school, I'd come back and say, "Hey, I learned this cool thing. Let's try it." And we tried it. From there, the marketing manager that was in Stockholm came just for a routine visit. She asked if I would be willing to move to Stockholm and kind of implement this strategic communication plan globally. So I moved to Stockholm for 2 years, implemented all of that through all of the countries that didn't have quite as big of marketing departments as you see in the US. And that's where my title was invented. So we did not have a marketing communications manager pretty much anywhere in the globe until I was in corporate and was working as a communications officer. Once my visa expired and I said I was ready to go back to the States, the HVAC company here out of New Jersey actually hired me on and created my role. And that was in 2019. So right before COVID hit. And from there, since we've become one company, I stayed in Jonesboro, obviously did not move to New Jersey, but now my role encompasses communication tactics for all of the comfort line and all of the dust collection line. When I say communication tactics, we're working on social media, video production, any kind of press releases or blogs that are going out, just getting press out in front of anyone who may need to make a purchase like this. We refer to this as a grudge purchase. So you're really only going to be in the market for an air filtration system if somebody like OSHA comes in and says, hey, your air is bad for your employees. You need to get something in place. So we're trying to make sure we get out in front of anyone who may make those kinds of decisions. So you're thinking safety managers, plant managers, CEOs of manufacturing facilities or automotive facilities, hospital planners, things like that. So yeah, I'm working with all the words and all the digital things, and I have a really great team behind me who help make the videos and the graphics that go along with those words.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. That's actually cool to see the progression or hear the progression of your career there where, you kinda learned something, that was on a little bit on the out, right? And you had to
Yeah.
adjust and make the changes needed, and you certainly did. So that's, good for you. That's awesome.
Well, it's a testament to A State's communication department as well, because I studied underneath that communication department, mainly under journalism from 2009 all the way till 2016, and it just launched my career because there are genius professors in that department that are teaching students things that clearly people around the globe are searching for.
Yeah, that's awesome that, you were picked up by a international company like that, a
Yeah.
global company. So when it comes to manufacturing companies in the area, there's quite a bit. Why are they so important to the community locally?
Yeah, so Jonesboro is I grew up actually in Little Rock, right outside of Little Rock in a town named Bryant, and I've traveled all over. The great thing about Jonesboro is we have beautiful career paths for anyone, whether they have a high school diploma, a trade degree, a higher education degree, whatever it may be. There's a spot here in this town that makes sense for you that you can make a full career. Whereas if you think about some major cities, it's going to be much harder to get ahead unless you have a certain type of profile or a certain type of resume. And here in Jonesboro, the amount of manufacturing we have, when I tell you, probably our welders at Camfil are bringing home more money than I'm bringing home with a master's degree, and they're a trade service. I mean, it's just like a wealth of opportunity here in this town, and I hope people recognize that because we're much more than just what you see on Red Wolf Boulevard. This our town expands so far out. Craighead County expands so far out, and there's opportunity for no matter what your education level is, no matter what your skill set is, and you're valuable to the community and you're valuable to a business here for sure.
Okay. And then I know you're very involved in the community, and we'll get to that very soon, but what excites you about the future of, the NEA area?
Yeah, so I like to tell people Jonesboro is like the biggest small town you'll ever be in. I've been in giant cities like Stockholm. I have traveled to take meetings out of Berlin, Dublin, Little Rock, whatever it may be. And there's nothing like Jonesboro where you have an influx of people, you have a university, you have very high profile people in this town. But at the same time, you can walk into Lemonade House Grill and have a normal conversation with the CEO of Gearhead. I mean, it's the biggest small town in the world. There's opportunity everywhere. There is opportunity for friendships, collaboration. I love the community aspect of this town. When I moved home from Stockholm, I could have stayed in Bryant or Little Rock with my family. And I said, I think I'm going to go back to that about 3 months. And I said, I think I'm going to go back to Jonesboro because I miss walking down the street and knowing my pharmacist by his first name and knowing that I can call my doctor on her phone if I really am having an emergency. Just that small town feel, but the opportunity of having large businesses and large presence like Riceland and Nestle and Camfil and these global companies that just bring in these our normal people, our normal civilians to work. It's beautiful.
Yeah, that definitely is beautiful, and, that's one thing that I've learned. I live here in Jonesboro, and, one thing I've learned just from doing this show and speaking with a lot of people that are involved in the community is that there's a lot more community involvement, in this community than you actually think or
But yeah.
compared to other towns, which is just amazing, the way people come together and figure things out and find solutions. So We know that you, at least I know that one thing that makes up your story and makes it so unique is that you are also involved in the community beyond your role at Camfil. So why? What are you involved in, first of all, and then why is giving back become such an important part of your life?
Yeah. So I am in my last year of junior auxiliary of Jonesboro. It's a 6-year program. You can stay in longer if you'd like, but 6 years is standard. And during my 5th year, I was actually the president of the organization. So my presidency ended on April 30th. We welcomed in a brand new president for the next year. Beyond junior auxiliary, I also sit on the board for the NEA Children's Advocacy Center, and I work with CASA a bit. I've had one CASA case. I went through the training, had one case. It wrapped up at the end of last year. Um, my passion really comes from kiddos. My parents are both public school teachers. My mom is a principal out in Hot Springs, and my dad is an AP history teacher in Bryant. We grew up with, not a lot. Teachers don't have a lot, so we were very fortunate and had a great life, but we didn't grow up with a ton, and I've just watched my parents pour in to their students. It didn't matter that we didn't have a ton, it didn't matter that we had a small house or whatever it may be. The goal was everyone deserved love, everyone deserved food, everyone deserved to learn, and I just really absorbed that. I knew I didn't wanna be a teacher in the same aspect that they are teachers. That was never my calling. I always wanted to go into, journalism or design. I did newspaper and yearbook growing up, so I knew that's where I wanted to head, but there's still a part of me that wants to nurture and help shape the lives of the people that are going to be coming up into adulthood. Everyone becomes an adult, and they need to have the tools to do it the correct way. Unfortunately, we do have a very big discrepancy here in Jonesboro when it comes to income. There is quite a bit of people who have a very high income, and also quite a bit of people in the town that have a very low income. And there's not a lot of diversity between the two. So I recognized that pretty quickly once I started working with junior auxiliary. I originally asked to be a part of junior auxiliary because coming home from Stockholm, I moved home in August, and then by the spring, we were in the middle of COVID. So there was a time period there where I felt pretty isolated, and I'm very much an extrovert, but I come home, hadn't seen anybody in pretty much 2 years. I was struggling a little bit with just trying to reacclimate and to find my friends group again. Everyone's lives just changed in 2 years, especially when you're in your late 20s. Like everyone's getting married, having kids. So I was a little lost there. Then COVID hit, and then I was really lost because then I was stuck at home. And my therapist said, I think you should look at volunteering, like find something that you can meet new people, people that have similar interests to you, and just something that you can do so you're not just stuck in your house all the time. And that's when I reached out to junior auxiliary, and I'm so glad I did. And within the first year, I was like, wow, there's so much in this town that I didn't know needed help. I didn't realize how much guidance some of these children needed. Um, and it
What
just
does
fuels it.
the organization do exactly?
Yeah, so we call them service projects. We have 10 service projects right now. We as a group identify needs in the community, whether it's we have students that are behind in literacy skills. We've got students who maybe have food discrepancies, people that just need a little more mentorship, like young women who need some more mentorship, all kinds of areas here. So we identify as a group 12 different projects that could help. So we've got a project named Kickstart Kindergarten, and we're going into kindergartens and helping the kindergartners who may be a little bit behind. We've got project named Growing Healthy, where we're teaching sixth graders about the dangers of unhealthy lifestyles like smoking or non-exercising. We're all over the place. We've got girls enrichment, so we're helping students who just need mentorship. Maybe they're in junior high or senior high and need a little bit more mentorship to get their lives really started. We teach them useful skills, balancing checkbooks, creating resumes, things like that. So yeah, we're all over the place in Craighead County, and we service all of Craighead County, not just JHS and Nettleton. We go all the way out to Riverside, Buffalo Island Central, all over the place.
Okay. Great. Well, we have a lot more questions for you on the community and what you're doing to give back. But real quick, we're going to cut to a commercial break. We're about halfway through, and then we will come right back.
Swept Away is a professional, commercial, and industrial cleaning service.
We are locally owned in Jonesboro, available to all of Northeast Arkansas.
We are a reliable company available 24/7.
So if your business needs floor care or carpet cleaning,
We'll make it happen.
Visit our website for a free quote or give us a call at 870-340-8533, and we'll make it happen.
We'll make it happen.
All right, and we're back to our episode of NEA Impact. We've got more questions here for Veronica, so we're gonna get right back to that. Veronica, I know that you had quite a journey, and you've had parents who grew up contributing to the community in a great way, and you've kind of seen that indirectly or directly, you could say, within your family. And then you kind of moved all around. You've seen a lot of different places globally, which is great. So you get the different cultures in mind and things like that. And then you end up back here in Jonesboro and in back in Arkansas in general. And so with the importance that you've seen kind of getting more involved with the community here in the last several years. What would you say to professionals or leaders in the area right now that are just not involved at the level that they should be or could be, because multitude of reasons, too busy, I have too much going on, I'd love to give back, but I just don't have the time. What would you say to those people that could be watching right now?
Yeah, so there are opportunities all over Jonesboro and all over Craighead County that you wouldn't have to nearly like sign on to like a 6-year commitment like I do with junior auxiliary. We have definitely ways that you can contribute monetarily. So we always have charity ball every year, which funds all of our projects for junior auxiliary. If you buy a ticket to charity ball, that money goes straight into paying for those service projects. And then of course we have really fun events that night that also contribute to our projects. But if you want to just buy a ticket and come and eat and hang out, that is more than enough. If you're thinking about like the NEA Children's Advocacy Center, they are always taking donations for clean clothes, stuffed animals, blankets, anything like that, gently used or brand new. Because when they have children come into the advocacy center, most likely those children have seen some sort of abuse or neglect. That's why they've walked into the advocacy center. And we like to give them a brand new set of clothes, some sort of stuffy, and a blanket. So that way they feel clean and taken care of, at least for that one night that they're going to have to spend with us. So there's always that. CASA, same thing. CASA is always needing donations or manpower. And CASA is kind of cool because you can volunteer with CASA and put in just what you have available to you. So once you go through the training with CASA, which if you don't know, CASA means court appointed special advocate, and you would go sit through a court case. You would be handed either a child or a family that is just going to need another set of adults or an adult who can advocate for them during this court process. So maybe their guardian has been locked away for some reason, or just something has happened with their custody and they're being placed into foster care, or they're being placed with a different family member. Their world is rocked. And it is so great for them just to have another adult who can talk with them and talk with all of the guardians involved to make sure this child is getting all of the necessary help and all the necessary guidance to move through the system. Because oftentimes lawyers have multiple cases, DHS workers have multiple cases, and it's very hard for them to get that one-on-one experience with the child. And CASA is a great way to do that. And it's relatively inexpensive for the volunteer. It's just all manpower. You get to make your own schedule. And that's a great way to give back to the community. Outside of those three organizations that I work with, there's still a ton of volunteer opportunity. Food Bank always needs people to go pack boxes. We always have events going on downtown that need volunteers, like the Pride event that we had a couple of weeks ago. They always need people just to come help and run the event. There's just a plethora of things out there that we can help with.
Yeah, of course. And so I know you mentioned a little bit about two of the organizations that you're directly involved with. That third one, could you go into a little bit more information about it?
About CASA?
No, I think you mentioned CASA. Was
Oh,
there the Children's Advocacy Center?
yes. Yeah, NEA Children's Advocacy Center. So there are advocacy centers all over the state, really all over the country. We are funded heavily by the government, but also we really need donations because government money is very limited. What the Advocacy Center does, they partner with very important people in the community, like cops and hospitals and therapists. So if a child is being abused or neglected, they would come and schedule. I mean, normally a very quick appointment, like they get picked up and within 5 minutes they're getting rushed to the Advocacy Center. Once they're at the Advocacy Center, they are going to go through different exams depending on what kind of abuse it is, whether it's physical abuse, sexual abuse, neglect, whatever it is. We have people on staff that are going to take care of that child. They're going to audit them and see what kind of abuse is happening here. They'll work with law enforcement to make sure whoever is responsible is being held accountable. And then they stay in the program until they, like, quote unquote, graduate. So they're getting access to therapists who are going to help them work through the trauma. They're getting access to lawyers and law enforcement that are going to help move through their process. It's different than CASA because these are you're basically being volunteered or voluntold to go up to the advocacy center, whereas CASA children are already in the system because they've already been put into a case, basically. The advocacy center is more of
Kava is
the starting point.
after that
Yeah,
fact. Okay.
yeah. And they have similar funding and similar goals, obviously. All of these organizations are just trying to protect children, protect their innocence, make sure they're taken care of. Sometimes you just need a friendly adult or a friendly face in any of these situations, whether it's just a student at a kindergarten center who needs help reading a book, or you're somebody who had just been physically abused by a parent. All of these children just need a person who's going to show them what it looks like to be fully loved and taken care of and appreciated. That's what we want. Everyone, they just want to feel appreciated, no matter what age you are. And that's what all three of these organizations provide.
Yeah, that's great. And then not to get I don't want to get it too into details here, but what is the biggest issue that you're seeing in the area that could really use help?
Ooh, that's tough because I wouldn't want to really pin any organization against each other.
Right.
CASA always needs volunteers. That's a little different. I mean, NEA Children's Advocacy Center, we have a full staff and a full board, so there's not as many roles for a volunteer to come in. More, we need donations, monetary donations, and physical donations. CASA is constantly needing more hands-on volunteers. So if you ever feel led to want to help any of these children that are moving through the DHS system, CASA is a great place to go. The training is like no other. You get a full 1 or 2 weeks of hands-on training where you're learning about past cases. You have beautiful trainers who have great experience within the courtroom and with their clients that can give you real one-on-one training. And then you get your first case pretty quickly. And it's like I said, it's a very low commitment in terms of what it's going to cost you to be a CASA. You're really not paying anything to be a CASA. It's all your time, and the impact is just uh, extraordinary because these children, I mean, the court systems are just rough to get through. So I would say CASA needs volunteers 24/7.
Okay. And then I guess it really boils down to what kind of time you have, what kind of time you can devote, what kind of if it's money, if it's donation, if you'd like to go that route. So it really just depends on your schedule and how things are going to work out in your life and how you want to give back. But one thing we can probably both agree on is that there's always an opportunity no matter what.
For sure. And, like I said, we have all three of these organizations have events throughout the year that if you cannot sign up to commit and be on a board or take on a full court case or commit 6 years to JA, there's events all the time. You can come and work at a golf tournament, you can come and volunteer or just give your support and money to, like I said, charity ball or trying to think. There's NEA, Children's Advocacy Center, and CASA both have fundraisers all year. We had the Blingo Gala this year for NEA Children's Advocacy Center as our first one. It'll end up being an annual event, I believe, but you get to come in, and we had it at the High Troll Hangar. It was really cool. There
Oh,
was all
nice.
kinds of luxury bags that you could win, from Louis Vuitton bags to Gucci to whatever. And all of that money just went straight back into the organization. And we had a great time that night, just playing bingo, blingo, as we called it, but bingo with all the other women and men in the room and winning crazy things like diamond bracelets, all to help kids out. So there's events all year. If you can't commit for a whole season of life, then just commit to an event and you're going to have a great time and feel very fulfilled when you leave there.
Yeah, and that's great. That's great to hear that there's so many things available, right? Just within this one community. And so,
Exactly.
if someone's listening right now, what is the best way that you can explain the process of how do you find these organizations? How do you research them? How do you figure out which one's right for you?
Sure. So all three of these organizations and pretty much any other volunteer organization we have in Jonesboro have beautiful social media presence. United Way is another one that is great to volunteer with. They all have beautiful social media presence. You can find them on Facebook. So the Junior Auxiliary Facebook page, NEA Children's Advocacy Center, CASA of Craighead County, and United Way, whatever else, NEA Pride. All of these have great place to start there on social media, and then they all have websites as well. So I would just start to either one of those digital. Both, all of them have very great digital. Um, what am I trying to say? Digital presence. Trying to think of some more. The Family Crisis Center is another great one. They always need volunteers. They have a second home shop that always needs donations of clothes. So anytime you go through a closet, your spring cleaning or whatever it is, go donate to the secondhand shop. That directly benefits the Family Crisis Center. Yeah, there's just I could sit here all day and name off all the organizations in town because I have friends that volunteer for all of them, and they all overlap and support each other, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, that's great, and that's great to hear. And thank you for your input today on everything and kind of telling us your story, telling us exactly how to get into the the giving back within the community in this area. And so, Veronica, thanks again for joining us.
Thank you. It was
You
great.
did an awesome job. We really appreciate you being here. And other than that, that'll do it for our another episode of NEA Impact. We will see you guys next time.
Thank you.
Swept Away is a professional, commercial, and industrial cleaning service.
We are locally owned in Jonesboro, available to all of Northeast Arkansas.
We are a reliable company available 24/7.
So if your business needs floor care or carpet cleaning,
We'll make it happen.
Visit our website for a free quote or give us a call at 870-340-8533, and we'll make it happen.
We'll make it happen.